Hey, you're listening to the Two Piece Podcast, where two very different people compare and contrast their top fives on a variety of topics. Steph and I are going to be hanging out with you today talking about our personal top five most overrated movies. Oh, yes. So let the angry mobs commence, because I am sure that there's going to be some hot takes today. But there's also more in store. Did you know that in the early days of movie theaters, popcorn was banned? Yeah, popcorn. You know, the stuff that we literally associate with watching movies. Well, it's true, and today we're going to be talking about the fascinating relationship between movie theaters and popcorn and how it went from being not allowed in theaters to being a mainstay. This is going to be a fun episode. Let's get going. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is time for the Two Piece Podcast. My name's Alex.
And I'm Steph.
You okay? Behind the curtain here, right before we started recording, Steph let out the biggest yawn. Just the biggest yawn.
Yeah.
So you can tell that she really wants to be here right now.
He asked me, he said, are you ready?
Just like, yeah. Well, I'm excited today.
I'm excited too.
Steph, what's our topic?
Top 5 most underrated movies.
Overrated
Overrated movies.
I hope you picked overrated because that's very different.
I was trying not to say.
She's trying not to yawn.
Yeah, I was trying not to.
Well, yeah, we're going to be talking about, in our opinion, our personal top 5 most overrated movies. We're really excited to talk about that. It's going to be interesting because I really have no idea what's on your list.
Well, I have no idea what's on your list.
But another fun thing is that we're also going to be going over the history of the relationship between movie theaters and popcorn. Why did popcorn become so synonymous with, like watching movies, right?
Because it's cheap.
Well, you may be surprised.
You can mass produce it.
Well, you may be surprised to know that for a while, actually for quite a while, for decades, popcorn was basically banned from movie theaters.
Oh, really?
So there's going to be some interesting stuff.
I'm excited.
Uh-huh. So we'll get into that later.
Okay.
I just want to give a little tease to that. But, Steph, why don't you tell everybody where people can follow us and tell us what they think about the show?
At the Two Piece Pod on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, check us out any of those places. Please do. This topic today was suggested by my mother. So, Mom, thank you as always for being a huge fan of it and supporter of the show. Overrated movies.
I feel like every other topic she suggests.
It's Mom, Pinata, and then every 5 times Hayden.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. Speaking of that, this is a crowd-driven show. So if you have any things you'd like for us to talk about, I see the analytics people. I know you're listening. There's a lot more than just Mom, Hayden, and Pinata listening here. So if there's anything you're just burning to, hear us talk about, we'll cover anything.
Yeah, Casey, what do you want to hear?
Yeah, Casey, you listen. And there's plenty of people who are from states that I've never been to before. Like, there's people in Oregon listening to us. So if you're that person in Oregon listening, thank you. But let us know what you want us to talk about.
I don't know anybody in Oregon either.
I don't think I know a single person. I know somebody who's moved there, but they're not from there. But, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, that's it. I did want to ask you this, though, before we get into our top 5s. Steph, are there any, huge movies, right, that you have never seen? But, if you told somebody that, the average Joe, they'd be like, you haven't seen this?
Absolutely.
Name a couple.
I don't even know what to say. The one about the baseball and the little boys. Sandlot.
Baseball and the little boys.
Yeah, is it Sandlot?
If you go back to the 90s, there's a million movies about baseball and boys.
Well, I guess it's Sandlot. I've never seen that. And then also that
That's
Christmas movie with the leg lamp. I've never seen that.
You never seen A Christmas Story?
Nope.
I just did it. You've never seen that? It's classic. Okay.
There's a lot of other movies too that I've never seen that are pop culture, and also older classic movies that I've never seen.
I think I knew some of those. I think for me,
you do that. I don't mean to interrupt you, so sorry, but I was gonna say you do that to me all the time.
I know.
You asked
mainly
me
with
that
music.
question, and
More with music,
you knew
but
the
yeah.
answer already.
Yeah, but I'm not asking for me. I'm asking for everybody listening, right? Because everybody's got that. Everyone's got like almost like a guilty, like, no, I haven't seen it. You know, I'm probably like that with the Star Wars series. I've seen the original Star Wars almost all the way through, basically. But that's pretty much it. And that was a long time ago, and I don't remember anything of it.
Oh,
that's all I've seen. I'm trying to think what else. I know there's other movies.
You've watched Lord of the Rings, right?
Oh, I love Lord of the Rings.
I've never watched that.
Steph, do you listen to the show? If you go back to our favorite movies, Lord of the Rings is on my list. Two Towers. You've seen Lord of the Rings, right?
Wait, have you seen all of them?
Of course I have.
Like,
Two Towers is just the best one.
Okay. Well, and like
most action-packed one.
Well, you just watched all the Harry Potters with me and my mom.
That was
you just did that.
That was a huge thing. Yeah, up until just about a year and a half ago, I've never seen the Harry Potter movies after Chamber of Secrets. I just stopped. It wasn't for any reason.
Yeah.
But this is actually something I want to touch on with underrated movies or overrated.
Overrated.
See, I'm doing it now too. So with overrated movies, it doesn't mean that we think these movies are bad necessarily. Like in my case, on my list, and you can of course explain yours too, but for mine, most of the things I'm going to bring up here, I don't think these are bad by any means. I just think that they are overhyped, and it's like, it's a good movie, but is this getting more praise than it really deserves?
Yeah, I'd agree.
Like, in fact, with one exception, every movie on this list I think is at least okay.
I would agree, except for one. I think for one of mine,
for one I don't like, but
I don't like either.
Right. So this is going to be interesting. I really have no idea because, to be honest, you and I kind of struggle to pick these because we are not huge movie watchers anymore. Like, I used to watch a lot of movies 10 years ago and prior, but now I don't know if it's because of streaming or whatever. For me, YouTube, I just quit watching movies, so I don't know what is considered overrated and what's not. So. But I think I got a
I struggled. I had like my top 3 and my 4 and 5. I really struggled with because it was hard to fill those spots.
Right. For me,
I like most movies. I'm very picky. I'm very picky about movies.
She's picky. I wouldn't have thought.
Shut up. But I am picky about movies. Like, if I feel like I might not like it, I really don't watch it.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So I'm usually, or like, I'll always like watch a trailer before if I'm not sure about it to see if I like it. So very rarely do I end up watching a movie and then being like, oh, I don't like it.
You heard it here, filmmakers. Listen up. If you want Steph's support and her money, you need to really sell it with the trailer.
Yeah.
you gots to. I guess we can go ahead and get into it. Who's first?
Me. Okay. I told you that right before we got started.
It's tradition, Steph.
No,
it's tradition.
It's not.
I forget who goes first.
I just told you. I go first.
Right. Well, what is in your opinion, your 5th most overrated movie?
Okay, are you ready? You're not going to agree with me.
So I must like this movie.
Yeah, you like this movie.
Okay, go ahead.
La La Land.
We just talked about it.
Yeah.
We just talked about this movie. Okay.
I don't know.
I liked it.
I mean, I liked it. But I just, at the end of it, I felt like, is that it? Like, that's it?
But do you feel like it's overrated? Like, people praise it?
Yeah, people loved it. And, like, to me, it's like...
It was a big deal. It won a bunch of awards, didn't it?
Yeah. But it's like, it didn't... Like, it was really cool how they did the set, and they had the dancing and the singing, and it was kind of a musical type thing, and, like, I really liked the actors in it. But the storyline was just bleh.
Yeah.
You know? And like I just felt like I just wasted my like for the story. Like, I wasted my time. Like, the story didn't go anywhere.
I think that might be a theme with our lists, but I think what you're trying to get at is like the presentation and like the cinematics of it were really cool.
Yeah. But the story just was that.
But it's like, as a movie itself, overall, other than it being visually fun to watch because they're dancing and they're doing all this, besides that, it's what else you got?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I feel like it'd be more fun to see in person.
Yes.
Than it would be like an actual musical.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So.
And it did I do remember this, so I am kind of with you on this, actually, because I do like that movie a lot. I haven't seen it since it came out. That was almost 10 years ago.
Yeah, I've only watched it once.
But I remember enjoying it a lot. But I remember I think it won a bunch of awards. It was like the huge thing that year. Like, this was the movie.
Yeah.
It also had the big names in it because it had, what's his name? He was huge at the time. Ryan Gosling?
Yeah. And
Emma Stone.
Emma Stone.
And she was big at the time, too.
I mean, and they did a great job. I love both of them as actor and actress, but it just...
Speaking of underrated movie, Emma Stone, Cruella. Great movie.
Oh, I know.
We need to rewatch that.
I've watched it like 7 times.
When?
Mom loves it. Every time we get Royal Panda, she's like, let's watch Cruella.
Just a weird association there, I guess.
Yeah, it's when we watch it. So we've watched it several times.
Well, dang, I guess I'll watch it on my own then.
No, you watch it. We'll get Royal Panda and we'll watch it.
All right. Well, that is a great movie. But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have much else to say. I kind of agree with you. La La Land is it was good, but a lot of love for it. I don't hear much about it now. I don't think
it didn't stand the test of time.
No, yeah. Unlike my number 5.
What's your number 5?
Some of mine are going to be probably controversial, I will say. Maybe even to you.
Some of mine are too, when you get higher up in my list.
Right. Well, my number 5, remember, I like this movie. So I'm going to say that first. I do like it. Okay. My number 5 is Frozen. For overrated. All right. I know I'm going to get a lot of slack for this, okay? I like Frozen. I've seen both movies with you, and I enjoy them, and I like the music. Is it the groundbreaking masterpiece that everybody tries to make it out to be?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
It is not. Music's good. Story's okay. Elsa herself is such a boring character. Everybody else is a good character. But Elsa, she's just trapped up there doing nothing.
She has to hide.
She has to hide her crappy personality. Hey-o!
No!
Woo!
She has to hide her powers, and she feels...
Listen, it's
repressed.
not about... Okay, well, all I'm trying to say is that, remember, you don't need to defend Frozen, because I like the movie. I love the story. I love how it's a love story, but not in the way that most Disney movies are, right? It's about sisters, like sisterly love. Yeah. I appreciate that. But when it came out, and I watched this when it came out, this wasn't me like years later going, this is a stupid kids movie that came out 10 years ago. I watched it in 2013, I think when it came out, with a bunch of friends who all were obsessed with it. Guys and gals, didn't matter, right? And I remember watching it going, this is good, but I'm not going to watch it 4 more times like the rest of my friends did when it was in theaters. Like, it was a huge deal. And I just don't feel like the hype matched it.
I understand and I respect how you feel.
It's good, but there's many other Disney movies I'd rather watch.
Like what? Tangled.
I'd much rather watch Tangled. Tangled was so good. Funnier.
Mulan
was good. Yeah, I mean, I'd watch a bunch. I'm just, or like Monsters, Inc. Or like, I'd rather watch stuff like that.
See, I'd watch Frozen over Monsters, Inc.
Well, Monsters, Inc.'s also, because then again, that's Pixar. It's kind of different. Yeah. At least at the time, it was different. Now I don't feel like it is, but Pixar was kind of their own thing at that time. But anyway, yeah, like Frozen. Once again, I like it. I like Frozen.
So what is it that you feel like is overhyped about it? Like,
well, remember, it's not about the movie as much as it is about people's reaction. That's what overrated means. It's like,
well, I know that, but like, what do you think people are overreacted about? Like,
Frozen is like synonymous with Disney. So it's not only been hyped by everybody, but Disney pushes it as it like it's their biggest thing they've ever had. Have you forgotten that you made Lion King? Have you forgotten that you made Cinderella? Have you forgotten? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I feel like Disney is also overhyping it. And just in my opinion, because when Frozen 2 came out...
Okay, yeah, they are. I mean, yeah.
They are, right? And obviously, they had a hit, so of course they're going to push it. I get it. All I'm trying to say is that I feel like Frozen was a good movie, but not their best. And Disney's acting like Frozen's the best thing they've ever made, and it's not.
Okay. I can agree with that. And also, they've made all these little spin-off things of like Olaf's, like
no one cares about that stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like they're trying to do too much with it.
By the way, side note, this is kind of a gripe. Olaf was way better in the first one than the second one.
Yes, I do agree.
He was like useless in the second one. The only thing that's redeeming about Frozen 2, which is not on my list, so I can talk about it right now, is the music. The music was better in Frozen 2, in my opinion.
I know you love that song by, what's her name?
Every song's good.
Kaylee Musgraves.
When the north wind moves the sea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like her version of it.
You love that.
What's it called?
We walked out
Lost
of that
and
movie.
Found.
Yeah, we walked out of that movie, and you were like, "Who sings that?" And you listened to that. You said like over and over and over.
I used to literally run and work out to that song. It is like a slow ballad. Lost and Found. Look up the song. If you're a Frozen fan, you'll know the song Lost and Found. It's the girls sing it. But in the credits, is it Casey Musgraves?
Yeah, Casey Musgrave, I think.
She sings it, and I love that version of that song. But everything's good. Lost in the Woods is good. Like Olaf's song is good. I'm just saying, but the story kind of sucks compared to the first one.
What's his name? The song that's like the 80s song?
Lost in the Woods.
Yeah, I didn't like that one.
I liked it after watching it again.
No.
Because I was trying to really be like an 80s ballad, which I appreciated because it was like kind of like a parody.
I didn't like it.
Steph, what's your number 4 now that I've probably, caused a divide from all of our Disney adults who are listening?
You probably have.
Disney adults are a special breed. That's all I'm going to say. They are.
My number 4 is Gravity.
Did you watch Gravity?
Yeah.
That movie with George Clooney and...
Sandra Bullock?
Sandra Bullock?
Yeah.
I remember that getting like a lot of hype at the time.
Yeah. Did you not watch it?
No, I thought it kind of came and went. I didn't realize you'd consider it overrated. I feel like nobody talks about it.
Well, they did when it came out.
Let's hear about
up to it. It was a whole big thing, and it won a bunch of awards.
I remember that.
Yeah, but like, it was good. I've only watched it once, and it was the same kind of movie that it just left me feeling like, is this it?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, it was good, but the whole movie was just her floating around.
That sounds boring.
Yeah, it was just like she's floating, and then people die and get lost in space. So then you're contemplating, like, what's out there.
So you watched this already knowing the hype that was around it, right? I'm assuming you already knew.
I watched it after, when it was on. I don't know if I rented
streaming?
it or something.
So you're probably going in there with expectations already too.
Well,
like,
yeah,
people
and
are praising this movie.
I was disappointed.
Yeah,
like it's, and I even read somewhere too that, and I don't know enough about physics to say, but I read somewhere that like even some of the physics stuff that was in the movie was like incorrect. Like they made things happen that like shouldn't have been possible, and stuff like that.
Yeah, but okay.
Yeah, but it's a movie about like outer space. Like it should be pretty, and it was like a realistic. It was supposed to be like a real story. It's like a cartoon or an exaggerated story. It was supposed to be like realistic.
Well, if it was supposed to be realistic and it was not realistic, then I understand.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, we've had that conversation before too. You'll call out the flaws in movies. Like, it's a movie.
I know, but still.
This isn't like a math equation.
But it was such, I think that had like a really high budget too. Like it was supposed to be very good and accurate and
it was like, okay.
Yeah. And it's just her floating around and having issues. And it's like, this thing detached from the ship. Oh, well, 5 hours later, something else detached. So
what's Clooney doing? What's he doing?
I don't remember. I don't even remember what he did in it.
Because, like, I feel like, first of all, when you get two names like that, some of the biggest names in Hollywood, at least they used to be, but like George Clooney and Sandra Bullock are huge names, right? You would think they'd only accept like a movie that's like really good. But then again, this isn't necessarily a bad movie. It's just it's like a math movie.
Well, their acting was good. There's nothing wrong with their acting. It just the plot. They just float around the whole time, and it's like, well, okay. And then I don't want to spoil anything, so spoiler. No, I will. But spoiler alert.
Okay.
Fast forward.
Okay, Steph and I have never had set ground rules for giving spoilers before.
Fast forward if you don't want to know.
It's gonna be
ending.
quick, so just fast forward. Like hit the 15-second button like twice. You should be good.
So she dies, and then that's the end of the movie.
What does he do?
I think he died too.
Why do you not care about George Clooney, Steph?
I don't remember
what do you
him.
against? What do you? He's a classic actor.
I don't remember him in it really, but that's what I'm saying. And then it just ends with her floating off. What? That's the end? I just sat here for 2 hours, and this is the end?
Maybe there's some deep meaning that you weren't getting.
Maybe, but I didn't. Yeah, so do I. Okay, so what's your number 4 then?
Well, my number 4 is one you're going to agree with on without me even having to say it.
Okay.
This is kind of a cheat because this is a clump of movies. Okay.
A clump?
A clump.
A series or a clump?
Not a series. You'll see why I said clump.
Okay.
Whatever the movie word version is for like discography, because that's for like music, but like whatever the movie version is. But it's basically, with one glaring exception, any movie that stars Will Ferrell, I think is overrated. Now, I don't know if you would agree with overrated, but I know you don't like him very much. Or do you? I thought you didn't like him.
I don't know.
You and I have talked about it. You're like, I don't really like him. I remember that conversation.
Well, I may or may not have a comment later on that.
Oh, oh, I see. So you got one of his movies on here. Well, everybody and their mother, and by that I mean any like person like that's around our age, or a little bit older, or maybe a little bit younger, loves Will Ferrell. They think he's hilarious. I'm sure you've come across plenty of people who think his stuff is hilarious.
Yes.
Because he's Will Ferrell, right? How could he? There's nothing he can do that's not funny.
He's not funny.
I disagree. He's not funny.
He's not funny.
And now there's one thing we disagree on. It's that I do want to give a shout out to the exception to the rule. I love Elf. I know you're not a fan of Elf. I love Elf. But also, he's not Will Ferrell when he's an elf. He's playing a completely different character. Maybe that's why I like it.
There's still parts of him that come out in that movie.
Yeah, but not like Ricky Bobby or Step Brothers or...
See, I've never even watched any of those.
Or The Campaign.
I've never watched any of those.
I've seen all these movies. Ricky Bobby was kind of funny.
I've never seen it.
But like in general, he's just not funny to me.
Well, but you had to... But so...
Once again, this is probably divisive for people.
So a clump of movies. So every movie he's been in except for Elf is overrated. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that's why I clumped it, because I said not every movie. Some of his movies probably no one's heard of. I'm just saying the big ones like Step Brothers, right? Ballad of Ricky Bobby.
Okay.
I mean, there's other ones. I'm trying to think what else at the top of my head. The Campaign. That one wasn't a huge movie. Oh, The Other Guys, right? There's a bunch that like, and they all star him, and they're all this kind of. They're fine. There's parts that I think are kind of silly or kind of funny, but this just isn't funny. That's why I'm saying it's overrated, because everybody surrounding me thinks he's hilarious. Yeah. So it's more about him and less about the movies. That's kind of why it's a little bit of a cheat, I guess.
Huh.
But you know what I'm saying? It feels like everyone thinks he's funny.
Yeah.
And I just don't.
I don't think he is either.
I mean, I've heard more than one person in real life, not online, say there's nothing that he couldn't do that, or something along those lines. I remember hearing, I know exactly who it is. It's a friend of ours that we both know. I remember I was sitting down, we had this little like friendly debate about how I don't think he's funny. He's like, there's nothing that he couldn't make funny. And I'm thinking, no, he makes everything unfunny. Like, I was like basically thinking the opposite. But it was a mutual friend of ours. But anyway, just that's the idea. Like, he is untouchable. He is a gem. Don't let anything happen to Will Ferrell.
Not.
He's not a gem. I'm not saying he's a terrible guy. I'm just saying I don't think he's nearly as funny, and his movies aren't nearly as good as people think they are. People just like that, I guess, that outlandish sense of humor, which there's going to be exceptions to my rule, not with him, but with other kinds of movies, but for some reason I just can't do it. So anyway, I think a lot of the big Will Ferrell movies are overrated.
Overrated. What? I don't have too much to comment on that because I haven't really seen any of them, but who is that guy? Who is that guy that the other guy I don't really like?
You don't like a lot of people.
Starts
so
with
I
a
need
J.
I don't know.
He played the Grinch.
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey. I don't like Jim Carrey either.
That one hurts a little bit.
I kind of group them in the same. I feel like they both have an outlandish sense of humor. Like, I group them in the same group in my head.
Totally different humor, but they are both zany. Jim Carrey is way more zany than Will Ferrell is, but the difference is that Jim Carrey actually has depth as an actor. Like, he does.
Yeah, okay.
Jim Carrey has done serious movies.
He has.
Right?
I will give him that, but I don't find him funny.
That's okay. I still think you should watch Liar Liar. I think that movie is really good.
Well, we'll see.
Actually, I remember watching the trailer with you, and I'm thinking, this looks more Jim Carrey-ish than I remember. Like, because I thought that came out after he stopped being so much Jim Carrey, but he was still pretty Jim Carrey during that movie. Anyway, It's not about the actors, but I did have to kind of bring up
Yeah, I get
Will
it.
Ferrell movies.
I get
guess,
it.
So, well, in a second, I'm going to talk about the complicated history between movie theaters and popcorn. But first, we have your number 4.
I've already said my number 4.
Oh, so is it my turn?
No, it's not your turn. You just went.
Well, no, I'm going to go through. It is time for me to go through my.
Oh my gosh! Yes.
I don't know why every single week I always forget. Sorry.
I need like cue cards
All right,
for you.
listen up, ladies and gentlemen.
I'll make some and bring them next time.
While I'm going through this information, Steph's going to make cue cards for me. But I thought it'd be fun. We learn a little something today, and we talk about movies and popcorn because everybody associates, right, like watching movies, eating popcorn together. And yeah, I mean, you have a point, right? It's cheap to make, that makes sense. But there's still a reason why all of a sudden we decided, because it wasn't, okay, we invented movies, grab the popcorn. That had to have started somewhere, right?
Well, I don't know why it started because it's the crunchiest thing ever and it's annoying when people eat it and you're trying to watch a movie.
Well, maybe at the beginning, for the first few decades of like the beginning of movie theaters, they knew that because they didn't want them in theaters. So let's talk about it and see how we went from that to now it being like synonymous, right, with watching movies. So we should go back to the beginning, though, of this first. We kind of have an understanding. So the earliest like filmed things were like in the 1890s, I believe. By the way, all my information comes from a mix of Nerdist.com, Orville.com, popcorn, and then ncpedia.org, NC meaning North Carolina. It's like a... Anyway. So, as I already said before, popcorn... So at the very beginning of the 1900s, movie theaters started popping up, right? Now...
that very good pun.
Now, during this...
I thought that you really thought it was funny.
I mean...
It was really funny.
Right.
No, I thought it was really funny.
So, but at the beginning, yeah, like this was kind of my first teaser, but I already kind of teased it. But at the very beginning of the 1900s, when the movie theaters were starting to gain in popularity, there were a time where a lot of theaters in kind of bigger areas were literally checking guests for popcorn before they'd come in to make sure they didn't have any. That is how much no popcorn allowed. Complete opposite. It wasn't just like nobody really ate it and then they did. So that's what I thought was actually most interesting.
No food allowed, or is it just popcorn?
No food was allowed. You're correct. Let's talk about why. So early movie theaters were built and presented to mimic like traditional performance art theaters, right? Because this was a new medium. So it was kind of viewed the same as traditional performing arts, which was usually tied to prestige, high class, kind of fancy schmancy, right? Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's kind of the kind of crowd that it drew in. And the idea, of course, was no food, no drinks. We don't want to make any messes on the lush furniture or the carpets or anything like that. As movie theaters grew in popularity during the next couple decades, so we're talking 1910s, 1920s, so did their extravagance. So they continued to just kind of grow with this kind of prestige audience. People would wear fine clothes and jewelry. Movie theaters housed fine carpets, furniture, and lush decorations. Literally no food allowed, and mainly in order to keep things clean and first rate. Now, this is a little side thing. One reason for the exclusive audiences at the time, because some people may be wondering about that, like why did it draw just this particular crowd? Because they were movies. They still weren't the same as performing arts theater. Like why did it draw that same crowd in? The big reason why it kind of kept growing in extravagance over those next couple decades was because viewers needed to be literate to understand what the films were about. Because at this time, two things were going on. One, in the late 1800s and the very early 1900s, there was a lot of Americans who still were not literate, right? Mm-hmm. I believe it was, I think I had a percentage somewhere. Let me see if I have it. I'll look for it. But anyway, the reason why they needed to be, though, is because movies had no sound. It was only cue cards and music, right?
Oh, you mean cue cards or
cue cards?
Subtitles.
I don't. Title cards, I guess, is the technical way to say it. So, like, have you ever seen any of those really old movies before? So, like, it would be like somebody, like, acting something out, and then it would cut, and then it would just have a quick title card that says, I can't believe you just said that. And then it goes back to them acting out,
yeah.
And it was kind of like that. So I guess I don't have the percentage. Can't remember what it was. But yeah, still a fairly sizable portion of the American population was still illiterate in the very early 1900s. So it kind of just drew that natural crowd in who could read, right? That might be almost a place where I'm going to stop it. But before I do, because there's going to be another section, of course, where we talk about how popcorn ends up being allowed in again. Because at first it's fancy schmancy, no popcorn allowed, right? We're too fancy for this stuff. But that changed with pretty much a combination of three things to varying degrees. There was an expanding audience, we'll get into, the Great Depression, and World War II.
Oh.
Those three things really
How would that
all work together
impact
to change the popcorn game and ended up making them allowed in theaters and viewed very differently than what they were at the beginning. We'll go back to that in a little bit.
Okay.
So, to keep you on your toes. Isn't that crazy, though? Like,
yeah.
If I would have had no research at all, I would have thought popcorn just was cheap to make, and eventually they started incorporating it because it was cheap to sell. But instead, it was literally, popcorn is already huge long before movie theaters were even around.
Yeah.
But they weren't allowed to keep that pristine, they wanted to keep that high class, kind of looking. They didn't want to make a mess everywhere.
Yeah, now look at movie theaters.
They're disgusting.
Sticky floors.
Once again, the three things, expanding target audience, the Great Depression, and World War II. But we'll go back to that in a little bit. So, it's my turn. Right?
No.
I really thought I was onto something. Like, oh man, that's my turn, isn't it?
No, you said Will Ferrell stuff, and then you read your...
All right, just go.
You've been talking for the last 20 minutes. It's my turn.
As it should be. Go on.
No, I'm just kidding. Okay, my number 3 is Fight Club.
Oh, okay. I don't have much opinion on this.
Can you imagine? Are you surprised I've seen it?
I am surprised you've seen it. I have never seen it.
Yeah. Well, I won't watch it again. So
I've heard good things about it, though. Brad Pitt, it's one of his early movies, right?
Yeah. It's like a psychological thriller, plus there's fighting.
Right. It was big at the time. I know that.
Yeah, and it's
still considered like a cult classic, I think.
Well, it came out in in 1999. So like basically early 2000s. I didn't watch it until I watched it with a friend, and I think I was in middle school. Yeah, must have been in middle school when I watched it, and she was like, "Oh yeah, we got to watch this movie. It's so good. It's so good." And I love it. I love this movie. And like I looked at the cover because it was like a DVD,
The soap. Wasn't it soap? Wasn't he holding soap or something?
Yeah, but if you looked on the back, there were pictures of like him bloody and like beat up. And I thought, this is not my kind of movie. I don't want to watch it. But of course I didn't want to like hurt her feelings. So I was like, okay. And I hated it. People love it. And it was,
I was about to say, is this overrated or you just don't like it?
No, it is. I think it's overrated.
Yeah.
I mean, this is my opinion. That's what this top 5 is. It's our opinions. And in my opinion, that movie is overrated because I didn't find any joy or excitement or any addition to my life experience through watching that movie whatsoever.
That's fair. There's one thing about Fight Club that I always say, and it's that, especially when I was working out more, this would have been a long time ago now, but I remember thinking, like, I always wanted my body to look like Brad Pitt's in Fight Club. I loved how his body looked in that movie. I wanted my body to look like that.
Huh.
Because it's like, it wasn't overly muscular.
I don't even remember what it looked like.
I've only seen scenes from I haven't seen the whole movie, but I just remember thinking, he doesn't look too jacked, but he also doesn't look like a scrawny guy either. He looks like he's fit. And like he's got tone. Yeah. That's what I want to look like. And also, he was like super good looking then because he was like the young, brand new, fresh Brad Pitt. So that probably helped too. But I'm just saying, like that, I used to go, I want to look like Brad Pitt in Fight Club. I never got there, but I guess there's still time.
I feel like every guy at some point in their life is like, I want to look like Brad Pitt.
Right. At least at one point, yeah. Probably not anymore. Brad Pitt's kind of old now. He's got long hair and he still looks good, but I mean, he's not the same.
Well, he looks like he's been through a couple Fight Clubs.
You're funny, Steph.
Thanks.
Well, I did not expect that to be on your list at all. I didn't even think you would know what that movie was.
I sure do, and I wish I didn't.
Wow.
But I don't know. My opinion, it's overrated. I didn't get it. Maybe I was too young to find the deeper meaning in it or something. It could have been the case, but to me, it was overrated. I remember watching it and then literally afterwards thinking, why do people like this movie? I don't get it.
It's one of those examples of movies where I already said it a few times on the show, but cult following. Like, it's never on the top 50 greatest movies of all time lists, but it's always got this huge underground following of people who love that movie. So it's big.
Well,
yeah.
I just watched a movie on Netflix, and in that movie, they quoted Fight Club.
Let me guess. Was it the first rule?
Yeah.
About Fight Club? Don't talk about Fight Club?
Yeah. But I mean, it's like they quote that, though. People quote that, like that sticks around, and like it's such a big thing. Mm-hmm. I just don't.
You're right. That is true. Yeah.
I just don't get it.
Who knows? I could be totally wrong. Maybe it's not a cult following, and it's like just a huge movie. I just once again, when you don't watch something, it's harder to be in that ecosystem.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting one.
All right. So now it is your turn.
Thank you. Now I can go. Thanks. I haven't talked in like 3 seconds.
Oh my gosh! I know you're just dying to talk.
My number 3 is actually in my list of all-time favorite movies. Probably like in my top 15 or 20. Like it's like. And
so it's one of your favorites.
Like I like this movie a lot, but I think it's overrated.
Oh.
Compared to the other ones in the series.
Oh.
I'll explain. Now you won't care about this one at all either, but my number 3 is Austin Powers Goldmember.
Which one is that? The third one?
Beyonce. The one with Beyonce.
The third one?
Mm-hmm.
Aren't you glad I know that?
Yeah, it's probably the only one you've seen. Because that's the one everybody saw.
I've never seen that one.
You said you did. Because then you also ended up seeing the second one or the first one with me on one of the movie nights.
No. I saw part of the first one when I was little, and my cousins were watching it.
That's right. I'm sorry.
Then my dad was like, you don't need to watch this. And because I was young.
Good for you, Dad. My dad was like, hey, son, you want to watch Austin Powers?
But they were watching it, and I was sitting behind their couch listening and playing or something. And then the movie night you had, I was driving and just on the call. Okay. I didn't actually watch the movie.
I stand corrected. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, most people in my life love Goldmember. So let me start by saying this. I love the Austin Powers series unapologetically. Don't care. Think it's funny. I think they're funny movies. All 3 of them. But 1 and 2 are by far way better than the third one. But the third one gets all the attention. Right? Everybody
because Beyonce's in it?
I think well, she probably plays a part, of course, but I think the biggest reason was it was the highest budget, it was the most marketed, and it was like the most mainstream. By the time the third one came out, Austin Powers was like a mega franchise, like at that time. Maybe
but a lot of the times they're not as good by then.
It's not about it being good. It's not about it being good. It's about it having the notoriety and being really just known to the general public.
Yeah, okay.
And by that point, there was people who didn't watch the first 2 that were watching the third one because it was out. This came out in 2003.
Okay.
Right. The other ones came out in the 90s, a little bit older. So that one is a little more, it felt a little more current too and stuff. And anyway, I watched that movie when it came out, of course, because I'm a big fan of the series. And I thought it was funny, but I still think International Man of Mystery and Spy Who Shagged Me are 2 way better movies. But anytime I have a conversation with anybody about Austin Powers, who's like a fan, they go, love Goldmember. So funny. Remember this part? And I'll go, I kind of don't remember that part because I really only like the first 2. So, not that it's bad, though. Once again, I still think this movie's funny. And it's probably in my top 20 favorite movies. It's probably like number 20. But I still think it's great. I just, compared to the others, it doesn't quite meet the same expectations. It got so famous at that point that one is the one that everybody talks about.
Yeah.
when the first two are the reason why that one could catapult so far. So
sounds like a little bit of jealousy.
This is passion. Why would I be jealous? I have no investment in this. Please explain how this is jealousy.
Well, like the third one would be...
Oh, like I wish people would like the second one better? Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I do. I guess if you want to call that jealousy, then yes, I am jealous. I wish people would have liked the second one better.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm jealous of those people because they get to celebrate their favorite one, which is also the biggest one, when I'm stuck here going, I like the second one.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about it. But the second one was huge. The second one introduced Mini-Me, Fat Bastard. It had all the huge, like, big... Guys just don't understand. Any Austin Powers fans, or at least people who love the third one, go back and watch the first two. Or if you're only going to watch one, watch the second one. And thank me later.
Oh, my God.
So much funnier.
So, that makes sense. I mean, that makes sense. I thought maybe one of those would be on your list, because I know you like them so much.
But why would you think... Okay, I'm sorry, I just want to dig into this. Why would you think one of my favorite movies would be on the overrated list?
No, one of the Austin Power movies. I wasn't thinking, oh, well, this is his favorite, and it's probably also going to be on this list. No, it wasn't that deep. It wasn't that deep.
I'm thinking, why is she thinking like that?
It was just, I bet, I kind of thought maybe you would have one of the Austin Powers on there. Because I know you like all of them, but...
Yeah.
I kind of knew how you felt about the third one. I don't know.
I'm sure I've talked about it before. At this point, you and I've talked about everything, so.
Well, you quote Austin Powers a lot sometimes.
I still feel bad about that one night. All the way. So, like, Steph and I, my dad and my stepmom, went on, like, a short little hiking trip last year, about a year and a half ago now. We actually alluded to it in our favorite moments of 2022 episode, so go check that out if you haven't heard it. It's a good reminiscing podcast. Anyway, we had a long day of hiking. We went to go get some drinks and dinner, and naturally, out of the four of us, both Duquettes had more drinks than anybody else, and my dad and I. So that's my dad and I. We were driving back home just to go in for the night, but we got on the conversation of Austin Powers. And I felt bad for Steph and my stepmom because my dad and I literally the whole drive home, and it was like 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes of just us quoting.
Well, we went the wrong way because it was dark and raining, so it ended up being more like 30.
Maybe, okay, yeah, that's fair.
Because we had to turn around. We passed the restaurant again.
Yeah. We probably went the wrong way because we were too busy quoting Austin Powers.
Yeah.
But anyway, we quoted basically the whole movie, and Steph said one of the funniest things I think she ever said, which was like, I'd never need to see the movie now because you just told me all the lines. Like there's no point for me to watch it anymore.
Yeah.
So I felt bad. So I'm sorry about that.
Oh,
honey.
It's fine. I'll still maybe watch it. I'll consider it.
I'm not gonna make you watch those movies. I'd rather you watch. What did I tell you to watch earlier on this show? I mentioned one I wanted you to see.
I already forgot.
It's okay.
That's why we don't see anything.
It's late when we were recording this
Lord
episode.
of the Rings.
No, I don't think you'd like it. I mean, I'd love for you to watch it with me because I love those movies, but... No, we said it earlier. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
What's your... Yeah, it is your turn. What's your number? I can't remember what number it is, though.
Oh, my gosh.
Is it your 3?
Oh, my gosh.
I'm tired!
You're not keeping up very well.
This is worse than usual.
Yeah. My number 2. This one's going to be pretty controversial. Hold on.
Controversial? Controversial?
Yeah.
Controversial sounds like a completely different word from controversial.
Controversial. Okay. All right. Are you ready?
Is it going to be to me or just like in general, the public?
I don't know about to you. Probably just more the public.
Okay. I'm ready.
Okay. The Notebook.
Huh. Okay. Well.
Did you watch it? Well, let me comment first.
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
Oh my God. Chandler Bing. Oh my God. You know why I just did that? Because you went, let me explain first. Have you seen it? That's what you just did. I was about to speak, then you went, let me explain. Have you seen it?
Well, first I want to know if you've seen it.
No, do you realize what you just did? You're calling me out for talking, which I wasn't even really going to say anything. And then you're like, okay, talk. Oh my God. Oh my God. Chandler Bing style.
Have you seen it?
No, but I know that it was huge for like middle school girls when we were coming up. Like all the girls in middle school loved The Notebook. It's all they talked about. It's like their most romantic movie ever. I
think it's overrated.
You like Nicholas Sparks though?
Yeah, I do. But like their relationship is dysfunctional.
But
and like
love is dysfunctional. That's love. I'm just kidding.
I don't know.
I'm being devil's advocate.
I just didn't feel like it was a very, and this is where it's gonna get tough. But I just didn't feel like it was a very good love story.
Dropping the hammer.
Like I didn't feel like, I didn't look at that as a young girl and think, oh, I wish I would meet somebody who would treat me that way. I was like, what? That he's a jerk. And like, why would she want to be with him anyway? And then I don't even remember because I haven't seen it in so long, but she also kind of sort of cheated on him a little bit.
Spoiler. Hello.
Didn't she? Well, I mean, everybody's seen it already. I'm sure. Have. Yes, you have. You said you didn't, I guess. But oh well. And and I don't know. It just. And then she, at the end, spoiler, she has Alzheimer's. I can't talk tonight.
Well, then stop making fun of me for forgetting who's next.
Yeah, okay, I will.
All right.
And they she's forgetting, and he has to remind her, and he goes through and like reminds her of their love story, which is like mostly just arguing. I don't know.
Look at all these fights we had.
I just don't get it. I just thought I was overrated. Everybody's like, it's so romantic. No. I didn't think it was romantic at all.
I'm backing you up on this one. I've never seen it, so I can't share that opinion on not really enjoying it, but I can share the opinion on Overrated because everybody talked about that movie still today. Like girls or people our age, I guess I'll say women. But like there's people our age, like in general, men or women, will still say like it's such a great romantic movie.
Yeah.
But like
it's like a go-to movie. Like if you go through a breakup, it's like a go-to movie that like a girls would watch.
Well, you yourself said in book form, Nicholas Sparks has way better offerings than The Notebook. You've said, I mean, one of his books was in your top 5 favorite books.
Yeah.
So go check out that episode too. We've done all kinds of top 5s, people.
Yeah, we have. But I mean, it just, I don't know. I just didn't get it.
All right. Well, I appreciate the passion. Keep carrying that passion on as we go. She's ready.
Will do.
The flames they're burning. They are. All right. So my number 2.
Yep. What's your number 2?
I don't know your opinion on this. I don't think you're going to have a strong opinion one way or the other. But the farther down I go on my list, the more passion, right, I feel for like, why are these so highly rated? Okay.
Yeah. I feel that way too.
So, and we're getting down. So like my number 2.
Well, I'm getting up on my list. We talked about how we do our list differently.
That's a whole, yeah, you literally read it backward, but that's.
Well, yeah, because I number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I start at the bottom and move up.
And you realize that one was the one everybody sided with me on.
Yeah,
so I don't know why you brought that one back up. It's not like the Subway one.
I know. Yeah, but the Subway I won. Subway won. The Subway argument I won.
Sure, you want to talk about something that you won in 2021? You want to go back that far?
Yeah, sure do.
I'm just kidding. Okay. A lot of episodes to go through, people. Check them out. We keep pushing our old episodes, and I love it. I don't care if we plug our own stuff. It's our stuff.
Yeah.
All right. My number 2.
As long as you don't plug your other podcast.
What, Profoundish?
Yeah, that you're cheating on me with.
Every Sunday with Weston Hasty. Check out Profoundish. It's a fun show. If you like more of this voice, you can get this one with another guy with a much nicer voice than me, and we talk, and it's a lot of fun. All right.
It is a good podcast.
My number 2 is, at the time when it came out, the highest grossing movie, beating out like Titanic and all these huge movies, and that was Avatar.
Oh, that's on your list?
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel. Let's see what your explanation is. I don't know how I feel about it.
You liked Avatar?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, this got weirder. I did not expect you to even like Avatar or have seen it. So, here's why I say it's overrated. First of all, let me say Avatar is a fine movie. Don't think it's a bad movie. Never did. In fact, I watched it more than once. Watched it in the theaters, got it on Blu-ray. It was one of the first Blu-ray movies to come out.
I remember because I had to borrow somebody's PS. Right. I don't remember what number it was to watch it.
Because it was, James Cameron's always about the cutting edge technology, cinematic stuff. So it was on Blu-ray, and the graphics were amazing. The motion graphics and the special effects, blah blah blah. That's what he's known for. And there was so much hype around it. And I think one of the biggest reasons why there was a lot of hype around it at the beginning was because this guy disappeared for like a decade and a half, right? He made Titanic, at the time, the highest grossing movie of all time, dipped, came back a decade later and released Avatar and topped his own movie. That alone that's a huge feat. That's awesome. Good for you, right? But really, what does Avatar have to offer? What it really did, it was a graphical cinematic showcase with an okay story.
I liked the story.
The story was okay. Like, it
was romantic.
Yeah, I mean, it was. Yeah, it had plenty of romance in it. But the movie wasn't It was much more about, look what we can do. We're making these beautiful, amazing characters all from computers. Like, it was much more about that. I've seen plenty of movies that are much less popular with, in my opinion, much more engrossing stories. I feel like it's overrated just because of the technical feat that it was, because it wasn't marketed as the next best story ever. It was, look at the beautiful things we can do with our technology. That's what the whole point of the movie was. Ask James Cameron and he'll tell you the same thing.
Well, at least they marketed it accurately.
I can't believe you're defending this. I'm just saying I think it's overrated because there's so many movies that tell better stories with an eighth of the budget. You know what I mean? I just think the story's just not that great. I don't think it's bad.
I mean, I get it.
In fact, I'd watch it again, but I just feel like the highest... now I think he just topped his own movie again with the next Avatar.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Which I have no desire to see it.
I do. I want to see it.
Why?
Because I like the first one.
I mean, I'll watch it, but I don't know. I just feel like why this? Like, why is this literally, this is the definition of overrated, in my opinion, because it's the highest, like one of the most viewed movies ever.
Yeah, I get it.
Like, why is that there and not, I can't think of another example that could match that. I'm just saying, I feel like there's other movies that could probably fit the bill better. I don't know. Anyway, I just think they're much more about their technical achievements and their cinematic achievements, which are important for the film industry, sure. But to the general public, I just feel like it's just an average story that looks really pretty.
Okay. Oh, I mean, I understand.
That's my opinion.
It wouldn't go on my list, but I understand your point.
Yeah. Once again, everybody, I like Avatar. I like it. That's where I see you comes from. I see you. We say I see you to each other.
Yeah, we do.
That's from that movie. I see you. Remember? That's a whole thing.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
That's like their way of like saying basically like, I love you. Maybe that's not true, but that was like a very important thing in the movie. It's like, I see you. Remember that?
I kind of.
Anyway.
Don't ruin what we say to each other.
I don't say I see you because of that movie. I just was reminded that,
okay.
that is in that movie. But anyway, yeah, Avatar is and I'm not the only one who feels that way because I did Google
I know it was on the
most
list.
overrated movies, and people usually mention Avatar
yeah.
because it's like, yeah, I think I've already made my point. It's fine. I think if it had like a super enticing story that really grabs you and pulls you in, or just resonates with you on a deep, deep, deep emotional level, plus the cinematics, 100% on it deserves the praise it gets.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
I agree.
But that's why these are all opinions.
It wouldn't be on my list, but I hear what you're saying, and I think you have a point.
Thank you, Steph.
Thank
you for reading that. It sounded like you just read that off a script.
I didn't.
No, she did not, but it looked like she did. What's your number 2?
Oh my gosh.
That one was a joke.
My number 2 is The Notebook.
I know, that one was a joke.
Okay.
But I think you thought I was being serious.
I did. I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
No, that didn't happen again. So let's go back into our little story here, a little history lesson with popcorn in the movie theater. So where we left off, we basically left off with how movie theaters, they were called movie palaces during this time, by the way, to make it extra fancy. And they were literally checking people at the door, right? No popcorn allowed, that sort of thing. Well, three things kind of came together for popcorn to become a mainstay at the movie theater.
World War II.
So the three things were a very quickly, rapidly expanding audience, the Great Depression, and World War II. So let's start with the expanding audience because that's kind of the smallest factor, believe it or not.
You didn't even let me help with that. You just kept talking.
That's correct.
Like I didn't have any input. I just wanted to help.
Well, thank you for helping.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Number one, Steph, why do you think the audience started to expand in the late 20s for movie theaters?
Because more people started going to college around that time. If you listened to our last episode.
That was a part. And yes, we're plugging so many episodes. Our college episode, listen to that. Steph went through the history of university, and it's pretty cool. So that was a small portion, obviously, because people could start reading. But the big reason was that movies began producing sound. Mm-hmm. So in 1927, movies began producing sound, and then I put in parentheses, and more Americans were being educated. So with that, the movie theater's target audiences started to expand really quickly.
Yeah, because now anybody can enjoy.
The movies. But everything kind of happened. It was a culmination of these three things at once, because this was in the late 20s. So what did the 30s have in store? Right? Great Depression. Mm-hmm. Right? That's when that hit. So everyone was enjoying themselves at this nice fancy schmancy movie theater, spending all this money, but then the economy took a big hit, obviously. And during this time, in order to keep the business thriving, theaters, of course, what did? They lowered the prices of movie tickets, and they began serving popcorn. Now, this wasn't like all of a sudden popcorn was huge at the theaters, but now it was like, okay, we'll cave. It's cheap to make, right? Let's have popcorn in theaters, because what was going on before that, I didn't even mention this earlier, there would be like popcorn dealers outside of these old-timey theaters giving people popcorn to sneak in. That's why they were checking their coats and stuff.
Oh.
Yeah. Like little like popcorn stands and stuff. So like they thought, okay, let's just cave. We need audiences to come in. And a lot of people associate, like a lot of historical documentation talks about how movie theaters, in a lot of ways, kind of distracted people during the Great Depression from the hard times they were going through.
I mean, I could see that.
Movie theaters, because they were still a new thing to the wide public.
Yeah.
You know, they were brand new. This is just the 30s. So, I mean, this is before Wizard of Oz, and this is early stuff.
No, Wizard of Oz came out in 1939.
Right.
Yeah.
Basically the 40s. Well, that's what I was trying to say. This is like long before that.
Yeah.
But that being said, yeah, popcorn was cheap to make and cheap to purchase. But the big reason why it became a mainstay, and now we basically associate it all together, is because of some events that transpired with World War II.
Okay. And what are those?
So the war with Japan, so Pearl Harbor, right, all that stuff. The war with Japan cut off U.S. imports from the Philippines, which was, we received nearly 70% of our sugar from there. 70%. So there's a huge, sugar ration going on.
Yeah.
And the reason why that's a big deal is because in theaters before popcorn, it was like, once they started opening up to the bigger public, candy was introduced and everything like that, right? They had a lot of candies. Mm-hmm. But all of a sudden, candy wasn't a snack you could easily get anymore.
Yeah.
Because we had almost 70% of our sugar completely wiped out. So we had to improvise, and movie theaters started pushing popcorn even more, and Americans just kind of by default in their own personal lives as well started choosing popcorn as a snack instead of candy.
Yeah.
So during that time, it just kind of all came together. And also movie theaters themselves used to make popcorn with coconut oil.
Oh.
But that also was mainly sourced from the Philippines. So even movie theaters at that time had to improvise. And after a lot of trial and error, scientists or chefs, I don't know who would be doing this.
Culinary artists.
Culinary scientists, if you will. We'll combine them together. They found that peanut oil does the trick, and it's cheaper. So that was another way to cut back costs. So now, a lot of big brands, including Orville, not a sponsor, they still use peanut oil for their popcorn.
Oh, how interesting.
But anyway, that's really what kind of made it a mainstay, because it was necessity after cutting ties with, any sort of import-export with the Philippines, where we got a lot of our snack-related goodies.
That's so interesting.
So everybody switched to popcorn.
That's so interesting. I didn't know that.
I like to share different things. I like the new way we're doing our format with like educational stuff.
Yeah.
Where we like have like just like a story to share instead. I just feel like it's more interesting for everyone to kind of go, oh, huh.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Me neither. The most interesting part for me was the beginning, right? I really didn't realize that like theaters were literally against popcorn. I just thought one day, okay, the Great Depression thing, that makes sense.
If you want to know the truth, I never thought about it.
We had the same exact conversation with the mall thing. I didn't think about it either, Steph. What I'm trying to say is, if you were to ask me, what do you think, I would say it probably just slowly got popular in the United States and we started eating it. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, okay.
I don't sit there late at night. You don't get what I'm trying to say. We had
Yeah,
this
I do.
conversation on the last one about the malls that I talked about.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I wouldn't have guessed any of that either.
All right, Steph, you ready?
Yeah. My number one?
What's your number one?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
You're not going to like it.
That's okay. It's not going to hurt my feelings.
My number one top overrated movie is Elf.
Really? You're number one?
Yep. Passionate number one.
You know what? I
Passionate.
get it. I understand, because people adore that movie, myself included, so I get it. But go ahead, lay it on me. Let's hear it.
Passionate number one. Like,
Okay.
without a doubt. I just don't like it. And people love it, and I don't get it. And as soon as November hits, as soon as Thanksgiving ends, everybody I know starts talking about Elf.
Instant classic.
Let's watch Elf. Let's watch Elf. No. I don't want to watch it. No. It gets on my nerves.
No, you have seen it, right?
I've seen it multiple
Okay.
times.
I just want to make sure you've seen it.
Not
Okay.
by choice.
Naturally. Okay.
Okay. And it's just, I don't get it. It's this grown man, and he acts like a child, and it's not funny.
First of all, that's the point.
I know. It's not funny. I
I don't get it. It's like
funny.
you're not supposed to make logical sense of it.
No, but it's not funny. I don't
fair.
get the humor. I don't get the humor. It's not funny to me. And
I'm not surprised one bit that you don't find that movie funny.
well,
That says everything about you.
I just don't. And I don't know. I just think it's sort of a little dumb. And then it's weird that the girl likes him. Acts like a child. He has something wrong with him. Like that he can't even.
This is so funny to me.
He acts like a child, and he's this grown man. And I don't know. It's weird to me that she is likes him, and they have this romantic thing, and it's interesting. I don't know.
Everything you're describing about it is why so many people adore it. It's dumb and weird. That's why people love it, because it's dumb and it's weird. And
well,
I will say this too. You did kind of personally hurt me a little bit when I thought about it, because it's one of my favorite Christmas movies, and it's got Zooey Deschanel.
I know, but I like her.
And she's on my
I know.
She's on my list on our other episode, our top 5 celebrity crushes.
Yeah. She was your number one.
She's my number one.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't wink at me.
Okay, sorry.
No, I liked her in it. I like her. I just think the whole concept is just odd and a little uncomfortable.
I'm not here to try and rationalize your opinion on it, like every fiber of my being wants to do right now, so I won't. But I totally respect that, and I get it, because it became an instant hit. And for somebody like you who doesn't like the movie, it's like, why the heck? Because it got so big so quick. It's not even that old of a movie.
It's still big. It's still
I know.
big.
It's a classic. It's literally, whether you want to admit it or not, if you're talking about the ultimate Christmas movies, you're talking about The Santa Claus, Home Alone, Elf. Elf is always in that list. Christmas Story, they're all on that list.
I know.
Christmas Story was the one you need to see. That's what I was. Yeah. You do need to watch that one.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't get it.
I'm not here to argue with you on that one.
Oh, thanks. For once. Thank you.
I don't have many opinions on that, though, because I do, of course, think it deserves...
You disagree.
I do disagree, because I think it deserves the attention it gets, because I do think it's great.
Okay, well, that's fine. We can agree to disagree there.
Little shout out to that movie. I just wanted... my favorite scene is when he's first meeting his dad, and he thinks he's... It's like his secretary's like, somebody's bringing you a singing telegram.
Oh, I'm so uncomfortable. That makes me literally
I love
cringe.
you, I love you, I love you. And he's doing that. At the end, he goes, God, that was weird. Do you remember that part?
Yeah, and that makes me cringe.
That's
like,
the best
whole
part.
movie makes me cringe.
Yet you love The Office. And that show is literally a show that's supposed to make you cringe.
Yeah, I love The Office.
Yeah, every basic white girl does. Ayo! Woo! I called her a basic girl when we first started dating.
Yeah, you did.
I pushed it a little far on that one. I
yeah,
thought,
and I
she's going
said,
to leave me.
excuse me?
Yep, you did, yep. Well, what are you supposed to say when you say you like The Office and Starbucks and Target?
And he was like, well, that's kind of basic, isn't it?
Yeah.
No.
Well,
Just
what is
because
it?
I like those things.
Just because I like the things that every other girl likes.
Basic.
I'm just kidding. The things I like, a million other people like. You know?
Yeah.
My favorite band is, of all times, the Beatles, and a lot of people say they're overrated, right?
Yeah.
Legend of Zelda, Nintendo, all that stuff. Everything I like, a million people like too. I'm not a girl, so I guess it's different.
Yeah, I guess it is.
We talked about that earlier. Anyway.
Okay, what's your number one?
My number one
I'm
is...
excited to know.
Yeah. I don't know how you're going to feel about it. Like, this isn't like one of your favorite movies, but I know you've seen some of these. This is another clump.
I don't know how I feel about you doing these clumps.
But
I feel like I feel like it's a little too far.
Well, luckily, I can do what I want. So, my number one...
excuse me? This is our show.
I'd love to see you produce it.
You're right. You're right there. You got me there.
All right. So, I'm just kidding. My number one is, it is a series, so it's not a clump, but it's a series of movies. And it's... All right. Get your pitchforks ready, everybody. Not you necessarily.
If it's a series, I feel like that's not as weird as a clump.
No, this is a series.
Okay.
But it's a big one, and I've never understood why it is so loved. Not bad, but just average. The Marvel movies.
I like those.
I think they're fine. So I haven't seen them all. You know this. In fact, you know that I was starting to watch through them. If you recall.
Yeah, on my Disney Plus, yeah.
On your Disney Plus, and then I quit because I was so bored.
Yeah, I remember.
I made it a little bit past the first Avengers. So
you told the guy at work he wanted you to watch him, and so you told him you would, and that's why you started, and then you got so bored, yeah.
Yeah, it's just true. I hate to say it, but Brandon, if you're listening, I'm sorry. I just couldn't finish them. But, so, here's the thing. I don't think they're bad. I want to give a couple shout outs to ones that I really like. I love the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Think they're great. I also like the Thor movies. Also great. Okay? Like those.
I like Iron Man. You didn't like Iron Man?
Iron Man's fine.
I liked Iron Man.
I don't like Tony Stark's character.
I did?
No. I like Robert Downey Jr. better than Tony Stark.
I like Tony Stark.
He's fine. I don't know. He's this big elite...
He's funny.
He's an a-hole. No. He is sarcastic and he's very dry, which I do like. I like that kind of humor. But he's just an a-hole. Nobody loves Tony Stark more than Tony Stark. And I get that vibe. I'm just not a fan.
Ooh, you know my favorite? It's Doctor Strange.
Never saw that.
Oh, you would that one.
But let me explain. This isn't about me disliking or liking the movies. This is about it being overrated. And I just feel like they became... There were so many of them. They started to all blend together because like every 6 months there'd be a new one, it felt like, for a while. I know they kind of slowed down now. They started to trickle out after like... What was the last Avengers movie? Infinity War or whatever? Or there was one that the big one that ended and everyone was crying about it because it was over.
But then there was Thor. There was another one after that,
I know,
though.
That's the point. There's a whole other conversation. Is the fatigue. There's too much. But...
Oh, Doctor Strange, too. And then it was Scarlet Witch and stuff, too.
So clearly you're into these, but I just think they're fine. Like, once again, I figured after I would watch the first Avengers movie, that would at least give me an idea. Do I like these? Because maybe I'll just like the Avengers movies, right? because it's got everybody together.
Well,
and it's
they're
like,
all linked. Like the movies,
I
you
know.
have to watch in order.
Right. Well, it did not interest me. And it wasn't bad. I just thought, why do people love these so much? Why do people flock by the millions to go see these movies that are just okay? Because I think anybody will tell you that if you're looking at it from like a, once again, you don't have to watch from a narrative perspective, okay? So I know this is opinion, right? But if you're looking at the story of Avengers versus like Shawshank Redemption or something.
See, I've never seen that.
There's another one you should probably see. But I'm just saying, like, it's just like, it's crazy to me that those movies are as big as they are. They just seem to be more like fun, eat popcorn and just watch for 90 minutes movies. And I think they should be viewed as such, but instead they're viewed as like, this is the blockbuster hit of the summer. Let's go.
Maybe it's because they're based off of like comic books.
What's wrong with comic books?
Well,
though?
I'm saying I'm saying that's maybe why people love them so much.
I think a part of my opinion though too is that I think it's fatigue and there's too many. I think it's too much, and I think it's not all of them are good. Some are sucky that everybody agrees on. Nobody likes the first Captain America.
Yeah, I don't like that one.
I hated that one. It was so hard to get through that one.
Like, I don't really like any of the Captain Americas.
I love Guardians of the Galaxy, and you want to know why? Because they're barely even Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Those movies take place in their own universe.
Yeah, you're right.
And they're funny, and I like Chris Pratt.
The Thor movies are good.
Thor movies are also good. I do like those. Well, I've only seen the first two. How many are there? There's 3.
I think there's 3.
I don't know, but I thought those were good. But once again, I thought they were good. Definitely not my favorites. But I know more than one, probably 1 or 2 people who listen to the show who are diehard fans of Marvel, and I'm sorry. I don't hate them. Remember, I think they're fine. I don't ever need to watch them again, though.
I think they're fine.
I think they're fine. Like, I saw, like, the Ant-Man movies.
Oh, I don't care about Ant-Man.
Whatever. I don't know. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's also on those lists. These pop up a lot, too, or at least certain ones do. So, anyway, that's my opinion.
Okay. I mean, I don't really disagree with you there. Again, wouldn't be on my top 5 list,
like,
but I don't disagree with you.
You recognize that might be a little overhyped, but you do like the movies too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're overhyped, and I think the movies are fine. So.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We did it.
We did. We had some good lists.
We did have some good lists. I wonder how much of our audience tuned out from our
hot
hot takes.
We probably made some people mad.
Hot takes. Steph, we got to get rolling here, and we're going to pick our new topic. But first, where can people find us on the internet? And tell us, this is the same place where you can tell us what your favorites are.
And also suggest other topics for us.
Yep.
Because we will use them.
So yes, please do. Please. Yeah. We got to keep the lights on somehow.
We do. We put a lot of thought into each episode and each topic.
Yeah, if you give us a topic, remember, and also if you're like a personal friend of ours and you don't want to post it publicly somewhere, that's fine.
Just text
one of us. Let us know. Like, we really do put a lot of thought into this, so don't think your suggestion is going to go to waste. Because it's not.
Yeah, it won't.
It's going to be taken seriously, and we'll have a lot of fun with it. I mean, hell, we've done one. Somebody suggested top 5 favorite sitting positions, and we did it.
Yeah.
And it's actually still one of our most listened to episodes.
Well, and we also had a kitchen appliance one, too.
Kitchen appliances. I think that one was my mom again. Can't remember.
That was a fun one.
That was fun. But anyway, go on.
All right. You can find us at the 2 Piece Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and also on YouTube.
Please do that. Make sure when you're there, you give us 5 stars, you subscribe to the YouTube channel, go to our Facebook page, like and follow us there. Do all those things.
So basically, like, subscribe.
Yeah, do all the things. So while you're there, Steph told you where you can find us. I'm telling you what you can do when you find us. And you should do those things. Apple Podcast, right? Leave us a review. Those things help boost our show. So how about this? If you do that, if you spread the word about our show, like it, and get it out there, maybe new people will listen. Like, it'll continue to grow, and then we won't have to ask you so much to give us topic ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I'm just kidding.
No, but it's true.
I'm kidding, but I'm also not kidding. All right, Steph, why don't you, I got our random list up here.
All right.
Why don't you give us a drum roll? We're going to pick our next topic randomly.
Okay.
For our top 5. Our next one is our top 5 favorite appetizers.
Oh.
We just
That'd be
recently had
interesting.
appetizer food for dinner, or for lunch one day, not this last weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And it was horrible for your gut, but it tasted delicious on our taste buds.
Yeah, it was good.
So anyway, I've got some good ideas. I'm sure you do too. But until then, we're out of here. Steph, why don't you sing us a little song before we head out? A little ditty, as I said last time.
Yeah, how about not?
No?
No. I
All
don't
right.
sing. That's not my thing.
Then if I sing, will you end on the last note and sing bye with me?
Yes.
Okay. Goodbye, my friends. I think you're great. I'm glad we're friends. Goodbye. All right, bye, guys.